New entrant visa and minimum salaries. Since the changes on 22nd July 2025, all the salaries have gone up. I have got a lot of questions on the YouTube channel regarding new entrant minimum salaries. I've also had consultations for that. So I thought of making a video. I've already created like an analysis on a blog and I have posted on the website. I'll put the link below and I will discuss some of the important points of that report. So what are the minimum salaries that can be paid, some jobs that I was able to find, whatever it may, just help you out with this. Let's come to its new entrant visa. So this video is only talking of new entrant visas and the minimum salaries for some job codes and what job codes are there approximately. What is the salaries approx? The point based system, anyways, in the report, I'll just go over the report briefly from the top. So it requires, the skilled worker visa requires mandatory non-tradable points, 50 points, and they are avoided for an approved job offer from an approved sponsor and appropriate skill level 2020 and 10 for English language. Most of the people switching in the UK, I don't think they need English language, but yeah, for outside UK applications, you would need those 10 points as well. Tradable points, 20 points are tradable, awarded, and depending on the personal characteristics, for example, PhD, STEM PhD, age, switching from a particular immigration category, etc., or the nature of the job. For example, immigration salary list or qualifying as a new entrant. The 20 points are tradable, the 30 remain. 20 points are for job offer, they remain, they are not tradable, they stay. 10 points for English, they remain. Only the rest 20, the remaining 20, 50 minus 30, 20, they are the tradable points. They can be traded against something or the other, and this is what we are getting at. And one of the trading is new entrant trading, where you are a new entrant, and the calculation has always remained higher off. Remember that, higher off, whichever is, whenever you are taking 2 or 3 variables, base rate, this rate, that rate, going rate, it is always the highest that is required. A general salary threshold is there. This is an absolute minimum, that is called, we can call it as a cash floor. Its more details are on that report. For new entrants, this floor varies depending on the type of role. A specified percentage of the going rate, and this is a proportion. So for new entrants, it is 70% of the going rate, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So that is it. So these are two main bases that you take, and a general salary threshold and the percentage of the going rate. So these are the two bases. For new entrants, it's 70%, and the general salary threshold is 33,400. And all these salaries are for 37.5-hour working week. If you are working more hours, you need to be paid more salary. Simple, proportionately. Key tradable points for new entrants. Home office list options A to K. Option E, the primary new entrant route. This is a standard option to secure the 20 points. I'll just summarize, I'm just reading it through. 33,400, as I said, is the general salary threshold. As I was saying, two salary points are there. One is a general salary threshold. For new entrants, it's 33,400, or the other one is 70% of the standard going rate. Whichever is the higher, that has to be paid. Okay, higher one has to be paid. Another option is, that's the option E for any types of jobs. Option J is for the healthcare lower rate route. This option is available to new entrants, sponsored in specific roles that qualify for a lower salary threshold. This is primarily includes jobs eligible for health and care worker visa, or those sponsored by individuals who have held continuous sponsorship from before 4th April 2024. So if you had sponsorship before 4th of April 2024, your first course was issued before that, or you are not on the health and care job codes, then option J is available to secure the 20 points. Summarily, option E, as I said, 33,400 or 70% of the going rate. That's the option E. Option J, you are in healthcare or lower rate route. If you had sponsorship before 4th of April 2024, your first course was assigned before that, or you are in health and care worker visa. So in that case, in the option J, in the second option, the base is 25,000. So for the previous one, the base was 33,400, but for these option J, it's a lower base, 25,000 per year. That is the general threshold. The general threshold has come down, or 70% of the lower going rate. On the other one, option E, it's a standard going rate. You will see two columns. So summarily, option E is the expensive one. You need to be paid more salaries, either 33,400 or the standard going rate 70%, which is the higher one. Option J is the cheaper one, which is available only for the previous cohort who got the cost transitional provisions, people call it. It's only available if the cost was assigned before April 4th. No transitional provision after April 4th till July this year. Remember that. People are getting confused. They are asking me this question. There is no transitional provision after 4th of April 2024. Anyone who got their first cost before 4th of April 2024, only they have this transitional provision. For them, the option J applies, or the health and care worker visa. 25,000 is the base minimum. Instead of 33,400, it is 25,000 and 70% of the lower going rate. So these are the two main areas of salaries that can be paid. The non-negotiable floor, and also there is another floor. So these are the two main: the general threshold and whatever the going rate part. And the third one comes in is the hourly rate, 17.13 per hour hourly rate. A crucial overlay to the annual salary calculation is the mandatory minimum hourly rate. As of 22nd July this year, all skilled worker roles, regardless of the tradable points, doesn't matter whatever trading you are doing for those 20 points, option must pay a minimum of 17.13 per hour. This rule is calculated based on a maximum of 48-hour working week and acts as a third and final check on the salaries compliance. So these three are the variables that you check and take the highest one of that. The hourly rate is not a minor detail. It can override the annual salary calculation, particularly in roles with long or non-standard working hours. Hourly rate mainly changes the whole game of the salary whenever you have long working hours or non-standard working hours. Whatever, you wake some weeks, then break, then work, any pattern. There are many patterns of different jobs. Sometimes you work 12-hour shifts, whatever that is. So whenever those things come into play, the hourly rate usually trumps, and it overrides all of them. It becomes the maximum. That's what I've usually seen. Furthermore, the 33,400's general threshold for new entrants under the option E, the first option, the expensive one, is not an arbitrary number. It is a direct function of this minimum hourly rate. So that's how they've calculated, they've drawn it from there. The official government going rate tables are benchmarked against a standard 37.5-hour working week. Very important. People always ask me, if I meet the threshold, but I will be working 50 hours a week. That doesn't help. Your salary has to further go up. All these numbers that I'm talking, it's only for 37.5 hours working week. If you're working more, it has to be much higher proportionately. A simple calculation reveals the origin of the cash flow. 17.13 per hour into 37.5 hours per week into 52 weeks per year equals to 33,400. That's how they've got it. That's the 33,400 base, 33,401.25. This demonstrates that the 33,400 annual threshold is the government's mechanism for ensuring the minimum hourly rate is met for a standard full-time week. So that is the main goal. That's why that 33,400 number has arrived. They have also calculated from the hourly option, and minimum 33,400 if you are paid, then you meet the minimum 17.13 also. The two thresholds are intrinsically linked, designed to prevent employers from circumventing minimum pay standards by manipulating working hours while adhering to the annual figure. Yeah, so that is the goal of it, giving the annual figure and let the worker work hundreds of hours, whatever that is. That's what the government doesn't want. That's the reason 17.13 and 33,400 have come into play. The new entrant gateway defining eligibility. Let's come to the eligibility aspect, and then I will come to the job codes, etc. More than just a new hire. An applicant can only leverage the new entrant discount if they meet one of the specific criteria outlined in SW 12 of the appendix skilled worker on the date of application. Primary qualifying condition is, so these are different options. You don't have to meet all of them. Remember that. Many times people ask me this, do I have to be under 26 even if I am a graduate switching? No, you need to meet only one of the criteria. Applicant is under the age of 26. Yes, that is one of the criteria. Student switching to a skilled worker route. Recent graduate who meets the same condition as student switcher. Yeah. So for the student switcher, the applicant is switching from a student. This comes with additional conditions. Their most recent visa must have been as a student. It must have expired less than 2 years before the application date, and they must have successfully completed a UK bachelor's or higher degree, or PGCE, PG, DE, or at least 12 months of PhD in UK during that previous student permission. Recent graduate, the applicant is a recent graduate who meets the same conditions as a student switcher, but may be applying from outside the UK as well. Postdoctoral positions, the job offer is for a postdoctoral role in one of the specific list of scientific and academic occupation. There is a list of occupations, chemical scientists, etc. Professional training, the role is in a UK regulated profession and the applicant is working towards a recognized professional qualification or full registration or chartered status with the relevant UK professional body. For example, becoming a lawyer, this is just an example, or maybe becoming an architect. These criteria make it clear that the provision is intentionally targeted. It is designed to support the transition from education to work or the very early stages of professional career, not to provide just a discount for the sake of providing a discount. The 4-year cliff critical limitation. So remember, a graduate route visa can only be, a new entrant visa can only be applied for a maximum of 4 years. Yeah, it gives you all the options here, but I'll just summarily point it out. If you are a, so including the graduate route period, your new entrant visa can be a maximum of 4 years. So if you are student switching, you may get 4 years. If you are a graduate route switching, at the end of your graduate route visa, you may get only 2 years of new entrant visa. That's what it means. Total 4 years you can be a new entrant, and graduate route, being on a graduate route is considered being on a new entrant. Think of it that way. RQF level 6 filter, shrinking pool. So everyone knows the job levels have been raised to RQF 6. It's not the, is not your education. So many people are asking on the channel, do I need to have a degree? No, you can be completely illiterate. I'm just taking the worst example over here. So, but if you have experience in that field, your employer can justify to home office why they want to hire you at a level 6 job, whatever your experience is, what you have done basically. You may be in sales, you may have just passed a 10th standard or whatever, just schooling, never went to college or university. That is fine, but maybe something to justify. Usually it is experience. But it's a RQF level 6 is the job level, not your education level. Remember that. Impact of the disqualification. So almost 180 occupations have fallen off the list of skilled worker sponsorship possibilities that everyone is aware of. I've covered this. They are the level 3, 4, 5 jobs. And strategic development, going rates. Okay, now I'm coming to the salary aspect. Analysis of standard occupations. So this is how you to determine the minimum qualifying salary for a new entrant in a standard occupation. An employer must meticulously follow a 4-step process. It is detailed in that blog post. I will put the link. It's on the website, so you can go through it. And I'm just briefly explaining the steps that are on that blog. Identify the standard going rate. Use the official government tables for eligible occupation codes. Locate the 4-digit code for the job and identify its corresponding standard going rate. So whatever it is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the job code. Look at the corresponding under the standard. Yes, if I'm not wrong, standard going rate. There is lower going rate and standard. Look at the lower going rate, standard going rate. Write it down. I'm talking of option E, the expensive one. Now calculate 70%, multiply the standard going rate by 0.70, 70%, that's how you do, to find the discounted salary figure and identify the cash flow now. The absolute cash flow for option E is, the expensive one is 33,400. So 70% of standard rate, you got it from the standard going rate, calculated 70% multiplied by 0.70, that's 70%, and get the number, write another number 33,400 and then determine the final salary. Compare the result from 1 and 2 with 33,400 from the step 3. The minimum compliant salary that must be paid is higher of these two. So the 70% of the standard rate or 33,400, whichever is the higher, for a 37.5-hour working week. For example, SOX 2134, Programmer Software Development Professional. Standard going rate is 54,700. 70% of 54,700 is 38,290. This is higher than 33,400, the cash floor. Therefore, the minimum compliant salary for a new entrant is 38,290. Conversely, SOC code 2149, legal professionals not elsewhere classified. Standard going rate is 33,400. 70% of 33,400 is 23,380. This is lower than 33,400. Therefore, the minimum compliant salary is the cash floor 33,400, whichever is higher. Minimum qualifying salaries for new entrants, standard RQF level 6 plus occupations. So these are the 6 plus occupations can be sponsored and what salaries can be paid. The following table performs this calculation for a selection. This whole table is there on the blog. For a selection, I'll just explain it, of level 6 jobs which can be sponsored and above, providing a clear references for employers. It synthesizes data from multiple government sources to present single actionable salary figure for each role. Occupation code, for example, chemical scientist, standard going rate 33,400. Let me not take chemical scientists, those are all exceptions. Let me take a standard one. Where can I find one? Okay, web design professional. Yeah, so 2141, then their standard going rate is 43,800. 70% of that will be lesser than 33,400, then 33,400 should be paid. Another one example would be management consultants, business analysts. In their case, 35,140 would be paid, which is 70% of standard going rate. Another example, so overall summarily what I see is 33,400 has to be paid or the higher. There are some occupations where you can pay 33,400, very less though, but the simple ones that I see with 33,400, as I'm trying to make a video with lowest salaries, is web design professional is 33,400. You can issue a new entrant visa. Graphic and multimedia designers 33,400. Legal professionals not elsewhere classified, maybe paralegal or someone, 33,400. Then very close one, chartered and certified accountant, I think you will need, you are working towards it, 33,440. Then another close one is 35,140. So this is also a lesser salary. I'm just trying to get closer to 33,400. Management consultants and business analysts 35,140. Marketing and commercial managers, very important. I know people always ask me which is a common job code that I can use. Marketing and commercial manager, this can be a common one which will encompass a lot of activities that you can improve the business by marketing the business. A commercial manager 35,070. It's not 33,400 but 35,070. Architects, yeah, that's a specific area, 33,400. Public relations professional, very important. This is something that I don't know, maybe employers may be able to assign you if you are doing public facing job for that employer. Public relations professional, the job code is 2493. All these job codes are listed on that blog. I'll put the list in the link and just see over there. This whole table is there. That also says 33,400. So summarily what I see is marketing and commercial managers 2432, 35,000 about, or 2493 public relations professionals 33,400, that they are at a lower level for a new entrant. Public relations professionals is the one which will be abused a lot. I can see you from the table only. Everyone will try to assign this one and home office will start asking questions. It may happen, but it will develop over a period of time. So 2493, which I see over here, is 33,400, and another one, web design, they are all very specific ones, or 35,000 management consultant or marketing manager. So these are 34, 35,000. So the lowest, if people want to go 33,400, the only thing that makes quite a common ground is public relations professional. The employer will have to justify that you are doing that job. You can't be doing anything else. If they audit, they check what you're doing, they should see that that is what has been stated, not the name of the job. The job description, what has been stated on the course, is that what you're doing. Okay, the name or the job title doesn't matter. I can call this public relation officer anything, manager, but and assign this job code if they are doing the job description which this type of a job role encompasses. So remember that. So job description is the key. Analysis in the rebel. So there is also an analysis that is given 33,400. Scientific roles, engineering and design, business and legal, media and communication. So this is a summary which jobs can be assigned very close to on a lower salary threshold around 33,400 to 35,000. Is scientific roles, chemical scientists, biological scientists, biochemists. This is one aspect. Engineering and design, mechanical engineers, very specific, web professional, web design professional, graphic and multimedia, architect, and business and legal. legal professionals not elsewhere classified. And the general one that everyone will try to use, and I'm not advising you to use, only if you are fitting in this criteria, then use this job code, where you can assign media and communications on behalf of the company, on behalf of the sponsor, newspaper, periodical journalists, and public relations professionals. It may not be in media communication, obviously. It may be your company's public relations professionals. For employers seeking to utilize the new entrant route in a cost-effective manner for graduate route level positions outside of the health and care sector, these occupations represent the primary targets for recruitment. So these are, and the lower thresholds, I'm just going, that was the expensive salaries, so lowest you can go is 33,400. But if you are in the transitional provisions, if your first course was assigned on or before, not on, before 4th of April 2024, or you are in health and care worker visa, the applicant is being sponsored for a role eligible for health and care worker, not just the care worker. Health encompasses a lot of roles. Yeah, remember nursing, and there are many roles in that. So this is a visa specific subcategory of the skilled worker route for designated health and social care professionals, not just care worker, health also. So a lot of jobs on the NHS are come under the health area. Yeah, health and care worker. So if you are joining this route for the first time, health and care worker visa, if we are coming in any of these, then option J formula, the floor is 25,000 or 75% of the lower going rate. The same way you do it, you look at the calculation of option J mirrors option E. The same way I said, go on the table, look at the lower threshold, look at the number of the job code 4567, look for the corresponding lower going rate, not the standard going rate. Standard was for the expensive one. Look at the lower going rate, multiply it by 0.70, that is 70%. Get the answer, write it down. Second is write down 25,000, which is the cash floor minimum. Compare them, whichever is higher, that's what you need to pay for a 37.5-hour working week. And the examples of those job codes over here are, yes, all these can be paid 25,000 as I see. Senior care workers. Care workers, everyone asks me questions. Care workers and care home carers. All these are 25,000 minimum. Okay. You can assign a cost for a new entrant at 25,000. Veterinary nurse, early education and childcare practitioners. I remember many questions have come on that. Early education and childcare practitioners, maybe working with a nursery or something, child nursery. Youth and community workers, 25,000. Complementary health associate professionals, 25,000. Pharmaceutical technicians, 25,000. Laboratory technicians, many questions come on this lab technician, I remember on the channel, 25,000. You can be assigned a new entrant on 25,000. Social and humanity scientists, 25,000. Social services managers and directors, 25,000. So just with 25,000 you can be assigned a new entrant course for these job codes. So summarily, these job codes are health and social care sector. Remember, for the care workers, the subcategory of the health and care worker visa, the employer must be also be registered with the CQC, Care Quality Commission. It changed long back last year, March 24, I think. Yeah. Technical and scientific support. This is the 25,000 one. Lab technician, pharmaceutical technician, social and humanities. Community and child care, yes. Animal care, veterinary nurses. So if you are in those sectors, yes, 25,000 base can be assigned for these types of job codes. Here's just example job codes. The whole video is about this. The blog is also about this. What are the lowest salaries that can be paid to a new entrant, and what are some of the job codes that can be used if they apply to the employer's business, employer's type of business, and the job that you will be doing. However, remember that the ILA trap, critical warning for all the sponsors is that the salary discounts available for new entrants are temporary. These discounts do not apply when a worker applies for ILR. At ILR, discount doesn't apply. You have to go to the standard or the lower, whatever that is, also known as settlement, which they are typically eligible after 5 years of continuous residence, unless this changes by next year April, where the ILR time period may be extended to 10 years. We don't know. We have to wait for the rules. If the change happens, it will happen definitely from April 2026 only, not before. That's what my calculation is. For an ILR, the salary must meet the full non-discounted threshold. 70, 80, 90% of the going rate columns are explicitly excluded for the settlement purposes. All the 70, 80%, everything goes out. For new entrant, the 70% goes out. The applicant salary must equal or exceed the higher of the standard threshold. Example 41,700 under option A, and 100% of the going rate for the occupation at the time of ILR. So going rate 100% or the standard general threshold. It will not be 33,400, it will straight go to 41,700 at the point of ILR. Once you, so you will get a new entrant, then you will extend. Even at the point of extension, you all these discounts will go away. You will be subject to 41,700 minimum. This creates significant salary shock that employers must anticipate. So it will be a salary shock to the employer. They are giving you 33,400 and suddenly they have to pay you 41,700. Just an example. An employee hired as a new entrant, 33,400, will upon applying for settlement after 5 years need to be earning 10 to 20,000 higher, yeah, depending on the full going rate for the job. Importance of accurate coding and record keeping. The temptation, this is with employers, to select a SOC code with a lower going rate to minimize salary costs is a significant compliance risk. The Home Office requires that the chosen SOC code be a genuine reflection of the role's primary duties and responsibilities. An employer must be prepared to defend their choice when they come for an audit, when they send the questionnaire, when you assign the cost, or when the skilled worker application is made. The caseworker has a right to ask you further questions. An employer must be prepared. So anytime it is assigned, all the notes, everything should be written on file. Don't try to wait for Home Office to come and then try to scramble around. They give you 5 days to reply and all of that. Always keep a proper audit trail. Why you have assigned this cost, this job will be done. An employer must be prepared to defend their choice of the code. If you selected 4567 as a code, whatever that is, during a compliance audit, you should be able to defend that, showing why I selected this is the job code, why I match with this. This includes having a detailed job description, very important, that aligns with the example job titles and tasks listed for that code in the official government classifications. Miscoding a role can lead to visa refusal, sponsor license suspension, and revocation. They will cancel the sponsor license or suspend it definitely and revoke the visa. They will also cancel, curtail the visa of the applicants or any number of migrants that you have under your license. Furthermore, sponsors have a duty to maintain meticulous records for every sponsored worker. This includes evidence of their salary, hours, job description, and how their role aligns with the chosen SOC code. Any changes to the employee's salary or role must be carefully documented and, if significant, reported to Home Office. Very important. Any change to the salary, employee salary or role, you have to report throughout the life of the cost, throughout the life of the skilled worker visa. It has to be reported through the sponsor management system. Prorating hours and the salary. I'm just getting on other aspects which need to be touched on properly, because I know applicants, they are very excited. They are to get the visa, to make the permission, because the permission is ending, whatever is happening, rules are changing and all. But the problem is, you don't think of the long run. Let's say you are a student, you are trying to switch, you have 4 years that all these things need to be managed properly. Anytime the compliance audit happens, or even after you file the application, if they start querying with the employer, if they don't provide the documents, your application will be refused. So don't rush the applications. Also take proper advice through immigration lawyers. You can book consultation with us if you want to select the job codes, compare the job roles, if it makes sense for you to use the job code, etc., etc. Consultation is always gold. Link will be in the description. So employers must remain vigilant about the details of the salary calculation. All annual going rates are based on 37.5-hour working week. This is what I was talking, and must be accurately prorated for any other working pattern. Sponsoring a part-time worker does not allow an employer to simply pay a fraction of the headline salary. The prorated salary must still meet the prorated going rate and the absolute clash for. This is another question I have got many times during consultations also. Instead of 37.5 hours, if I am just sponsoring a worker for 20 hours, yes, you can be sponsored, but the base minimum will have to be paid 33,400 in this new entrant category. So if your employer wants to pay you 33,400 for a 20-hour job, yes, that's fine. But you cannot just prorate and reduce the base minimum. Is another point that many times people ask me, if I do part-time, can I make this half of the salary? No, you cannot do that. Those bases need to be met. Crucially, the 17.13 minimum hourly rate must always be met. This serves as a final backstop to ensure fair pay. An employer must check that both the annual salary threshold and the hourly rate threshold are satisfied. Annual 33,400 and 17.13 multiplied by 37.5 multiplied by 52 hours, 52 weeks. Similarly, it comes to the same number, 33,401. This is particularly important for roles that may require unpaid overtime or have variable hours, as the effective hourly rate could inadvertently fall below the minimum compliant level. Conclusion and recommendation. This analysis that I have done on the blog, it's much more in detail. The absolute lowest compliant salary for a new hire is 25,000, but that is only available for someone who has joined the new entrant route, maybe had the first course assigned before April 4, 2024, or in one of those health and care job codes. And the minimum floor may be 33,400 for any other job codes. So, to navigate this landscape effectively and ensure compliance, employers should adopt the following strategic recommendations. Verify RQF level first. Before any other consideration, confirm that the job role is skilled to at least RQF 6. This is the most important one. Bachelor's degree equivalent, the job level, not the education level of the migrant. For new hires, any analysis of roles at RQF 3 to 5, with the exception of specific routes like the health and care visa, is redundant. Trying to analyze 3 to 5 level job codes, it's a redundant thing. It will lead to refused applications. Exception is only the health and care occupations. Rigorously apply the higher of rule. So, never rely on the 70% discounted rate figure in isolation. Always calculate it and compare it against the relevant absolute cash flow, 33,400 or 25,000. Option J, option E, or option J. The required salary is always the higher of the two. Plan for the 4-year cliff. Actively budget for the mandatory salary increase that will be required when an employee's 4-year maximum period as a new entrant expires. If you are a graduate route, it will be just 2 years, remember. This is predictable and non-negotiable cost of retention. Anticipate the ILR wall. For employees on a path to settlement, factor in further salary uplift required at the 5-year mark when they apply for ILR. All salary discounts are removed at this stage, and the full non-discounted going rate will apply. Audit job descriptions and SOC codes. This is the most important one. You will lose your sponsor license and all the migrants will lose their visas. Ensure that job descriptions are accurate and that the selected SOC code is a defensible match. You should be able to defend it when an audit happens or any questions are asked as a part of the application or any time. Defensible match for the role's duties. This is critical aspect of sponsor compliance and risk mitigation. Consult legal experts. The UK immigration rules are subject to frequent and complex changes. Given the high stakes of visa applications and sponsor compliance, seeking professional immigration legal advice is prudent investment to mitigate the risk of costly errors, application refusals, and potential enforcement. Book a paid consultation with us to discuss anything about this job code, SOC assignment, anything and everything. The link will be in the description.